Okay, in this video we're going to go over the basic, go over the GUI, kind of the layout and a little bit, and then we're going to get into some depth about backup jobs and some of the more advanced settings, give you some ideas for some tweaks that may help you out, and go a little more in depth into the program. This would definitely be for someone that is going to set this up and use some of the more advanced features, or would need some more of the advanced features, a little more knowledge in using the application. There's two ways to look at the application or the BlueSky GUI. There is the advanced view that we're looking at here, and this is by default how it opens up. And if you want to switch it to a simple view, or clicking on the little link there on the bottom right is going to switch it to a more compact, simpler, a little cleaner view that I'm sure we'll go over in another video. But for the sake of discussion, we're going to go back to the advanced view, and you just click on this button down here at the bottom, and that takes you back to advanced view. On the left hand side, well, let's cover the tabs first. Across the top are a set of tabs that you can go to the different functions to copy, backup, restore, etc. And again, we'll go over those in some more detail starting today with the backup tab. On the left hand side of the home tab, either in advanced view or in simple view, is the recent jobs, the next scheduled jobs, and the settings box. These the top two boxes, the recent job and the next scheduled job box, gives you a quick and easy way to see what has happened in the past and what's going to be happening in the future with the application. You can see here this list the different jobs that have occurred. Clicking on the link is going to open up the log file. You don't have to surf through any file system to find the logs. You don't have to hunt through the application to find the log to see what's happened. It's real simple. It's right there at the beginning. You'll either see one of three colors in the little indicator on the side. You'll either see a green one, meaning that everything was successful. You'll see an amber one, or yellow, which will mean that there's some kind of warning or something happened that you may want to pay attention to. Maybe there was a computer error of some kind. And then you'll see the red one, which will mean that there's typically that something happened where the backup couldn't occur. That's not always the case with a red dot, but in most cases that's going to indicate that something happened so that the backup couldn't complete. So you'll want to take a look at that. In this case, it was a bad user ID or password. Below that is the next scheduled jobs box. It's just that. It's what's going to be happening next. In order to quickly change a schedule, let's say that I was going to be shutting my computer down early, or if I was going to be working later or something, I didn't want a job to go off at a specific time, I could change it. It's just that easy. You just click on the link, make your changes, and click OK, and the job gets done. So it's not a matter of having to dig through the application or go in and change some kind of weird setting. It's right there. You just click it, you change it, you click OK, and you're done. Now this is going to be changed permanently. Now let's say, for example, I wanted to delay a backup job. I could go in and change the time that it ran, but that's the time that it's going to run from here on out. So in order to change that back, I'd have to go into it again and change it back to the original time. The default settings tab, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about this guy. I should say the default settings options. The default settings are the settings that are going to take effect on every job that you create from this point on. Now let's say you've got 2 or 3 backup jobs that are scheduled, and you make a change to the default settings. Nothing is going to change on your already configured backup jobs. In order to change the individual backup jobs, you have to go in and change those individually. There isn't a way to globally go in and change 3 or 4 backup jobs all at the same time. You have to go in and change each one of those individually. Okay, but anything that you set in the default settings box is going to affect backup jobs that occur from here on out. Let's take a quick example of that. I like to recommend to folks that you set up a run as user, and this run as user perhaps is a user with sufficient rights and permissions to back up your PC. Could be a backup user, depending on how you have it set up. But one thing you could do is maybe make the password so that the password doesn't change for that user. Secure it properly and take adequate steps to lock it down. But you could create that user and then use that backup user as the user that you want to run jobs from this point on. I'm going to call this one backup user. I don't have this on the machine, so I'll probably get an error. Now another thing to keep in mind is when you make a change like that in the default settings tab, in order for them to take effect, you have to close out of the client and open it back up. I think I mentioned that before on another video. But now once we go to the backup, let's make a new one, and we're going to go to settings. You can see on the Run As tab that backup user was selected again by default. Now if I go back excuse me, to an older job that I had created and go to the Run As, you can see that is still using, and you can see in the guy there, that's using the old setting that I had originally. So it's just to underscore that anything that you change in the default settings window only takes effect on new jobs. It doesn't go retroactive. But that Run As is a good practice to use. You don't have to worry about keeping the password or giving out the password to folks that are going to be setting the job. The next job that comes up is going to have that pre-populated, so it's kind of nifty. All of these settings in these tabs, the copy, the backup, and the restore, are going to be essentially the same settings that you will have on each of the individual jobs. In other words, the settings here for a backup job are going to be essentially the same as you could set up here.